everyone. My name is Jobina Fortson. I am the breaking news and traffic anchor for ABC 7 News in San Francisco and will be serving as your moderator for this conversation today. We're going to be talking about anxiety, stress, coupled with COVID-19 as we enter this holiday season, which I know so many people are looking forward to, but you might have some varying feelings around it. So, here to guide us with all of that is David Bond. He is the Director of Behavioral Health with Blue Shield of California. David, I'd like to turn it over to you very quickly before we jump into the conversation and let people know a little bit more about yourself.
Hi, Jobina. I'm so excited to be here with you today to have this conversation. I can't tell you how often this is probably the number one topic that people always want to talk to me about. And it's not just about dealing with the stress and frustrations of everything that's been going on in the world around them, but even at home with their own families, and especially around the holiday time. I've been with Blue Shield for it was actually 4 years last week. I've been a licensed clinical social worker for about 20 years, and my specialty has been in working with children, adolescents, and small children and their families, and particularly people who have had really, really bad things happen to them. I'm a trauma specialist.
Hmm. Well, trauma is honestly what the world has been going through for
Mhm.
almost the last 2 years. So, you're the perfect person to discuss this all with because it has been traumatic. We are entering this happy time of year, right? Or this time that should be really happy for a lot of people. We know the holidays can bring up so much. And right now, we are seeing certainly anxiety and stress as this pandemic goes on. Because this time last year, of course, everyone was inside. People were probably thinking, okay, this year we have a vaccine, we have all these things. And now there's a new variant. And now we don't know what's going on. How can people work to manage this, and what should they be looking for?
Well, Jomina, there's so much in what you said too. So the first thing that I heard you say really was like it should be a happy time, and that really talks about our expectations around the holidays. And if you think about just the change in what holiday movies used to be like when I was a little kid, most of the Christmas movies were really about this joyous, wonderful part of the year where children don't really cry that much and everyone finds romance and all family challenges that have lasted for years and years, all sort of get wrapped up in this magical holiday celebration and things get resolved. When really we need to manage our expectations about what the reality is of this time of year and Christmas, and not just necessarily what we think it should be because of some of our fantasies and about what we see in TV. And then the other thing, a second piece of what you were asking about was around COVID. So there are the basic things about taking care of your health, and there is no health without mental health. But there are things like get a vaccine if you're capable of doing so, wear a mask in places where it's appropriate and necessary to do so, wash your hands and do all of those things that are like basic healthcare practices that we have all been hearing about over the last year. But I think the point of it is don't stop. Get your flu vaccine if you're capable of doing so. Those things just to make sure that you're staying healthy, because those are really building blocks of strong emotional health as well and resilience.
Now, with that, we know that some people turn to, their coping mechanisms. And for some, that can be alcohol, that can be sometimes dabbling in substances that they should not. Advice there.
Sure. How to identify when having a holiday cocktail is a fun and festive thing to do and a cultural experience to share with others where it's not really problematic versus when is drinking going to cause problems for me or for the people that I'm around, or not even just drinking, but other substances as well.
Exactly.
So one something that one person once said to me was like, if you're ever in a relationship with a romantic partner and you're curious about whether something is cheating or not, ask your partner. They'll tell you. The same kind of thing with maybe having some cocktails. If you were going to ask a parent or a wise relative, do you think that this kind of behavior is problematic? And you know that their best advice is going to be, you know what, maybe you just have 2 or 2.5 cocktails at this party and limit yourself there. Like, take the best advice. and listen to it.
Yeah. We've had a lot of talk now about families, and we've had some laughs in here too while addressing a pretty serious topic. Unfortunately, there are millions of people that have lost loved ones during the pandemic, and this holiday is going to be really, really tough. What It's just such a hard question to even ask because where do you begin to ask it, right? You are already feeling hurt in that you've lost a loved one. And then knowing the feelings that surround this pandemic, right? There are people that don't believe in it, or people that don't believe in vaccines. There are just so many layers to the grief. How can anyone begin to tackle something like that during this season?
Yeah. Um, there's for anybody who's experienced loss. So, like, this might be my first Christmas without my spouse or a parent or a grandparent or someone who we've lost along the way and in the last year. And around the holidays is so triggering because we remember this as like, well, many people have really joyous memories around what they did with that person around the holidays, or what that person was like on Christmas morning, or whatever holiday someone celebrates. And the truth of it is that sadness is necessary. We're human beings who have a full spectrum of emotional existence, and emotional experience, and sadness is one of them. And so I would say, when it's when there's a time to be sad, and live it. You don't have to feel that way all the time. And then there's a time to feel joy and gratitude and live that too, because you don't get to feel that way all the time. So when someone has recently lost someone, I would say don't try to not be sad, but incorporate the other feelings too. So it's remembering, not just I feel sad and I feel lonely, but do you remember that time when she did that thing where, oh my gosh, like, and then it's like, oh, that's okay to incorporate in. It's like laughter while crying. That's okay too. The concept, I think, to keep coming back to is, this is a feeling that I have right now. It's not going to last forever. There's going to be an other side to this feeling too, and that other side will feel different.
Mm, mm, yeah.
And
Um,
to play a supportive role too, and recognize that in yourself. And when you need some time, someone who cares about you will get it. Or you'll always be someone you can call or talk to who is like, hey, um, I need to not talk about this, or I need to talk about it.
mhm.
I need you to, would you mind just sitting next to me through this thing? Like, if you can identify what you might need, let somebody know, because there are probably plenty of people who are sitting there hoping they can be helpful, but they don't really know how.
Yes, yes, yes. But talking about being helpful here, I want to dive into kids a bit. Our U.S. Surgeon General put out a really rare advisory. It's really rare that the U.S. Surgeon General puts out advisories, public ones, talking about children and essentially saying that there is an emerging youth mental health crisis in the U.S., specifically tied to the pandemic.
Mhm.
What can I mean, I'm including myself in this, we as people, and especially people that had children, what can we do? What kind of special considerations can we give kids right now to help?
Yeah. The Before the pandemic, we had a shortage of mental health professionals. Now we have a crisis of the dearth of mental health professionals. There isn't enough supply of people with this skill set, and I'm just talking about licensed clinicians too. There isn't enough supply of that. I hate to use the word the provider type, but that helper type, to support the level of people who need it.
I think that is an advice all of us can use during this holiday season. David, thank you so incredibly much for this awesome advice. I can't even begin to thank you enough. I know I'm walking away with some great information, and I'm sure everyone else is too. So thank you.
Thank you, Jobina. This has been fun.
Definitely.